Hello everyone, this is yet another part for the JVC Pro HD password protected format, which was part of the D-VHS format back in 2004. Now this format is not very well known since it was only sold to professionals directly from JVC, and these would have to be purchased via contract. As you can see right here, I have a total of 3 machines here. Now on this particular video, I really want to focus on this machine. This is the SR-VDA300u, and this was called the Mastering recorder by JVC. Regarding these 3 machines, this is technically the hardest machine to find in the here and now 2021 because they did not make many of these compared to this. This is the playback machine. This machine would be left in the homes of the critics and the film editors as well. They would have this machine in their homes. The editing studios, both the motion picture industry as well as the television broadcast station editing studios, they have this machine in their editing rooms. So they really didn't make many of these machines. Now this machine, when it was made, it cost around $6,000. And now I do suspect a couple reasons why it cost that much. Now I gotta let you know, I'm not a professional. I never claimed to be a professional. But I do suspect that one of the many reasons why this machine costs so much is because we have a lot of parts in here. Now, I do plan to open this machine today in this video and show you what's going on in here. I also have the repair manual for this machine. Both the repair manuals and the instruction manuals for all these 3 machines can be acquired freely via the internet. If you really look around, you'll find them. They're very easy to find. But now regarding the machines themselves, they're very hard to find because there weren't that many made. It took me a long time to find 3 of these machines, and all of these 3 work. They work perfectly. Every single thing on them work, which lets me know I'm incredibly lucky. So I really don't really want to focus on this machine today. Let me go ahead and place this machine aside. Like I told you, this is the playback machine. This machine is able to play back the password protected recordings made by this machine. Now this machine can read them as well. The manuals, they don't state that. And actually, there's quite a few things that both the manuals and the brochures for these machines, they don't state. Now I do plan to tell you what those other things are, but not in this video, because what I do plan to tell you in the next video that I make is going to be something very interesting, you might know the digital VHS format very well, but what I do plan to tell you in my upcoming video is going to change everything that you know about the digital VHS format. I thought I knew everything there was to know about the digital VHS format. But it wasn't until I purchased these 3 machines and I used them myself, I learned that this machine has quite a few settings on it. Now, they're not stated on the manual and they're not stated on the brochures, but it really blew my mind. I did not know that this was possible. I will tell you exactly what those options are in my upcoming video. That will be a video where I do plan to record a protected video. By protected, I mean password protected with this machine. I will make that recording and I will play it back via this machine, and I will show you each step that you have to do to both create that password protected video as well as to play it back. Now you have to use the same password. That password was communicated between the editing studios and the critics. I don't know exactly how. It might have been via telephone, via text, via a letter. I don't know how it was. It's very difficult to find information. So let me go ahead and put this machine aside. I have a few vintage videotape formats back there. I do have videos about those videotape formats if you're very interested in those. I love videotape formats, especially the magnetic kind, which includes the digital VHS format. All right, so let me go ahead and put this machine aside. All right. Now this right here is the mastering recorder. Let me go ahead and put this encoder away as well. This is technically an HDTV encoder. This machine, when it was released, it cost $31,000. So that was very expensive. This is hard to find in the here and now, but not as hard as this machine. This is the mastering recorder. I'm a very happy owner of this machine because it really, it shook what I knew about the digital VHS format. All right, and put this aside. I do have another video on my video page where I show you the insides of this machine. It's very involved. All right. So I do have the service manual for this mastering recorder, which, like I told you, you can go ahead and download online. It's not that difficult to find. You can find this via a PDF download. If you're interested in this format, which you probably are if you're watching this video. So as you can see right here, this is the JVC SR-VDA300u. And this is technically the service manual. This shows you the internal components along with part numbers, serial numbers, so you can go ahead and repair this machine in case it didn't work. Now, in my experience, this machine that I purchased, it works perfectly. This machine was made very well. This might have been used 24/7 when it was released back in 2004 by the television broadcast stations. I mean, you have to consider that television broadcast stations, they have to keep transmitting video or else there's no income. So I'm pretty sure this machine has thousands and thousands of hours of runtime and it still works, which tells you a lot. JVC, they made some of the best machines. I mean, at least in my experience. All right. Now, I kind of highlighted a couple things which I thought were very interesting. Now, right here it says, the following table indicate main difference points between the model HMDH3000U and SR-VDA300US. Now, technically, this first model is a consumer model. This model was very easy to acquire because it was sold in brick and mortar stores. This machine did not have to be pre-ordered or purchased directly from JVC. You can go ahead and purchase this machine way back in 2004 from stores like Circuit City, The Good Guys, Best Buy, places like that. Now this machine, you had to order that machine and you had to sign a contract. That's this machine right here, the mastering recorder. Okay, so it's talking about the body color. Now I have stated this in other videos, but I was very happy to know that this is actually shown in this repair manual. It says the body color. On the consumer machine, they use a pure silver color. On the Pro HD version, they use a dark gray color, which is this right here. You can tell, they call it dark gray, but it's basically the sort of like a graphite finish to it. I actually have an image of that consumer machine right here. Let me just kind of show you very briefly what that looks like. You might actually own this machine yourself if you're watching this video. You might actually own this machine, which was technically the consumer version of this one. This was only sold to professionals directly from JVC via contract. This machine you can go ahead and buy without a contract at a brick and mortar store. Now this costs a lot less than this one. This one costs $6,000. Now I do suspect a couple reasons why. I will be opening this machine in a couple minutes. All right, so let me get back to this service manual, which I was able to find via the internet. You can still find this. You can download this via a PDF file download, which is wonderful to know. I mean, there really is no reason why you should have to pay for such manuals like these. You can find them. If you look, if you dedicate your time to look through the internet, you'll find these manuals, free downloadable PDF files. Okay, now it's talking about video navigation. Now on the consumer machine, it does use it. Now, if you're not familiar with video navigation, what that does is stores information about every single videotape that you insert into the videotape machine. And it actually lets you write down physically with remote control what is on those videotapes. They call it video navigation. Now, the consumer machine, it did have that. This prosumer machine, it does not have it. Probably for a couple of reasons. Because it wasn't really needed. I mean, this machine was used professionally, so pretty much whatever came out of this was being either broadcasted by a television station, or it was recorded onto protected videos. So there really was no reason to store any kind of information. It actually might have been a bad idea. For example, I've noticed, like I told you, I do own the playback machine that plays back the recorded videos. Since the playback machine does use video navigation, whenever you input the password for those recorded videos, it will stay in the actual machine's memory. That means that you only input that password once. After you put it once, it'll stay recorded on the machine itself. So from there on, whenever you place that recorded video, it would actually fill in that password for you. Now, on this mastering recorder, they don't use that video navigation because it would have been a very bad idea. For example, if this machine had fallen in the wrong hands back in 2004, it would have up to 1,000 passwords stored in its memory. I mean, imagine having a total of 1,000 protected videos viewable for piracy. For example, imagine having a video distributed before it was released, either in the theaters or released via television, having a television show released before it was released via television. I mean, both the networks as well as the motion picture industry, they would lose millions and millions of dollars. That's one of the many reasons that this Pro HD format was invented, which is not very well known. Okay, another couple differences. The iLink, I mean, technically JVC, they don't call it either firewire or IEEE 1394. They call it iLink. They give it this system their own name. They call it iLink. Now the consumer machine, it does use it. It does in fact have firewire inputs. Now on this Pro HD format video machine, it does not have, well, it doesn't have one outside. I gotta let you know, there is one inside. Now I do plan to show you this in a couple minutes. Let me kind of show you physically that this machine, I mean, you're probably looking at this machine and thinking, oh, every single digital VHS machine, they had at least one firewire port. Well, this one doesn't. Let me go ahead and show you that. I mean, there's not that much information on this machine. There are no images and there are no videos either. So I plan to show you this machine in a lot of detail, not only the outsides, as well as the insides, as well as the video output of a password protected video. Then let me go ahead and turn this machine around and show you that this machine, in fact, does not have a single, that would be a firewire input. Okay. Right here. Notice right here, there are no firewire inputs right there. That's where most of the digital VHS machines would have their firewire inputs. Actually, some of them have quite a few. They had both an input as well as an output. You were able to output via firewire to your plasma screens, which, I mean, plasma screens are really not used anymore for a couple of reasons. I mean, they're insanely heavy. They're very inefficient. They consume up to 600 watts and they're very loud. They do have fans inside which spin when the television gets too hot, and they can be quite annoying. I mean, you really shouldn't have a fan inside of a television, but I mean, these plasma screens, when they were released back in the early 2000s, they were very inefficient. They were pretty much a precursor to the televisions that you have nowadays. That would be like the quantum LED televisions as well as the OLED televisions. Those newer televisions, they're very efficient compared to the plasma screens. So notice right here, there are no firewire inputs, but I gotta let you know, this machine does have one. Now it's not outside, it's actually inside. Now right now you're thinking, why is it inside? Do you have to open up this machine in order to connect your camera or your dish network machine onto it? No, you would have to use this bottom machine. When I say bottom machine, this machine actually is it's two machines in one. This bottom machine actually requires its own power supply. Let me show you right here. Notice this right here. This is the power cord for the VCR itself. But notice this down right here. This is another power connector. This would power up this bottom machine. This is considered an ASI unit. And this is the model SR-VDA300. It's missing a U. This VCR has that letter U. This one does not. This is considered the ASI unit. Now, I do plan to show you what's going on in here as well today. So like I said, no external firewire ports. Very weird right there. All right. Let me show you a couple more things on this repair manual before I go ahead and open up this machine. Now, I did remove these screws on this machine before I made this video to kind of make this video a little bit shorter. But I gotta tell you, it's gonna be a long video. This is one of many parts that I plan to make for this format. And I'm gonna take my time. I mean, I'm really not worried that somebody else is gonna go ahead and make a video about this, because I've been making videos about this format for the past month and I have not seen any other videos about it. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has this setup or not, but I do have it and I really love showing you this setup because, like I told you, there are no videos on this setup. All right. Now this page right here has a whole lot of information. I really wish I could tell you what all of this means, but like I told you, I'm not really an expert. This manual is very detailed. It shows you a lot of parts, capacitors, model numbers. It's very detailed. So I really wish I could tell you what all of this means, but like I told you, I'm not really an expert. Now you can find this online and download it. Okay, now this really helps because it tells you what each of the parts does inside of the ASI machine, which is the bottom part. So I guess let me go ahead and open this machine. I mean, I'm very happy to show you the insides of this machine. Now, I'm actually not going to focus on the VCR part, this top part, because it's pretty much just a digital VHS machines. I mean, the only difference on this VCR top machine is the fact that there are no external firewire ports. It's an external one, and it's actually the way that it communicates with this bottom machine. Now the programming is a little bit different because of the fact that it does offer password protected settings, but everything else is pretty much the same. I also don't plan to show you how to maintain this machine because, like I told you, it's pretty much a digital VHS machine. I know you'll find hundreds of videos on YouTube regarding how to maintain and repair a digital VHS machine. So I won't do that. I don't plan to show you how to maintain this machine. All right, let me go ahead and try to zoom in as much as possible. I really want to show you that. As you can tell, this top cover, it is pretty banged up and scratched because this machine, it is used. It's not brand new. I mean, I couldn't imagine having to buy such a machine brand new. I mean, I'm not willing to pay $6,000 for such a machine. So it is used, and it was used quite a bit. So this is the top cover. As you can tell, it's pretty banged up. It's pretty scratched. Now I do plan to kind of restore this machine. I love maintaining and restoring vintage machines, and I do plan to restore this top cover. Now, when a machine is this damaged, this scratched, you pretty much have to paint it again. I mean, you really can't get these scuffs out just by polishing. You have to go ahead and start from new. You have to repaint this top cover, which I do plan to do. Now, like I told you, I really don't plan to really focus on this top VCR machine up here because, like I told you, I mean, it's been done before. This is pretty much just a standard digital VHS machine. Now, let me show you one thing that I thought was very interesting. Now, I did kind of discuss this part in another video. Now, let me kind of, you know what, let me go ahead and get my flashlight. I really want you to see this part very well. Right. I have a forehead flashlight on me right now, and I'm going to turn that on so I can show you this very well. Now, I've noticed that both the repair manuals, they don't explain what this part is down here. And it's a part that looks very rough. It looks kind of handmade, and it's kind of loose in there. Now, that's this card right here. Notice it's just loose in there, and you can see the exposed wires on it. You can see a lot of very rough soldering on it. Now, I don't know what this card does. Now, I suspect that it allows a couple settings that technically were not allowed on this machine. And actually, those settings, they're not discussed on the manuals. I do plan to show you those settings, and they're very interesting. What this card does is something that I thought, I mean, at least to me, and I'm not going to say I'm an expert, I thought they were impossible. And I'm going to let you know that it is possible. Now, I don't plan to show you this on this video. I plan to show you what that card allows you to do on another video. Okay, let me show you this. Now, this is in fact a firewire connection. And it is inside of this machine. It's not outside. The reason that this is right here is because this connects the VCR part to the bottom machine, which is the ASI machine. And they are connected via firewire. See right there? That's a firewire male connection. And this is a firewire female connection. Normally, on digital VHS machines, this female connector would be located about right here on the rear of this machine, right here close to the corner. But on this machine, it's on the inside, and that is how it is able to connect to the bottom machine. So like I told you, I don't really want to focus on this top machine. Let me just let you know one thing before I go ahead and remove this part. This part is removable. Now this right here, I believe this has the JVC processor for this digital VHS machine. Now I've used this machine quite a bit. I've noticed after about 30 minutes of runtime, this part gets insanely hot. I mean, if I were to touch this with my finger, I would get hurt. I mean, it gets insanely hot. Now I do plan to modify this machine. I do plan to apply copper heat sinks to this processor because I really don't like knowing that this processor gets insanely hot right there. All right, you can kind of see my other vintage format. That would be in the 1977 Quasar VX format, and those are up there are the 1976 Sanyo VCore 2 video formats. I do have videos on these two formats if you're interested on those. I kind of have this right here because I thought this was very interesting. This was a, like I told you, I kind of deviate with what I'm talking about, but do bear with me. I'll get right back to it. This is from the Pepsi company. This was kind of like a free blank videotape that they would give you back in the early 90s. Now, I have seen these, but they're not the 180-minute one. There would be the 120. I didn't know that Pepsi gave out these E180 videotapes. So when I saw this on eBay, I bought this right away because I thought it was very interesting. This is from the Pepsi company. It was kind of like a way to pretty much get their name out there, offering people free videotape, blank videotapes. Very interesting. Put that aside. Okay, so let me go ahead and put this machine aside. I did remove these screws. The way that this top VCR is held onto this bottom ASI machine is via two screws. I know it doesn't make any sense. Two screws to hold a VCR onto a separate machine. They would be located about right here on the bottom and about right here on the bottom. I did remove those screws. They're these very long black colored screws. I removed those before I made this video. So let me go ahead and remove this top VCR machine from the bottom ASI machine. I really want to focus on the bottom ASI machine because there's a lot of very interesting parts in there. And I can tell you there are no videos on this. Let me go ahead and remove this right here. Let's go. Okay, so that has been removed. And technically, that VCR that I just removed from this bottom part, it can be operated without this bottom part. You don't really necessarily have to use this machine. Now, when you do use this machine, I mean, you do need to use this machine if you plan to make Pro HD recordings. Those Pro HD recordings require this machine because the Pro HD format does not use the 28.2 megabit rate. It uses the 25, which is lower. I know it doesn't make any sense. Why would you prefer to record in 25 megabits compared to the 28.2 megabits of the Pro HD format? Well, the reason is because when you use this 25 megabit Pro HD mode, you do in fact record in the higher color spectrum. That would be the 220. You have options. You can either record in 220 or 222, which is very interesting. All right, now I do plan to open this. I did remove these screws. Now there were a total of 4, one on each corner. Let me go ahead and do that right now. Okay, let me really zoom in here because there are no images on this machine. Okay, let me go ahead and remove this part right here. Now this is a stamped steel cover. It's sort of vented because actually this bottom machine consumes up to 100 watts. So it does generate a little bit of heat. So that's why they have these vents on the top. They also have these vents on the bottom to kind of get that heat out of this machine. Okay, so that cover has been removed. Now, I am going to have to use this repair manual to kind of explain what's going on in here. Like I told you, I don't consider myself an expert. So right away, right here, we have a power supply. This is the power cord. It gets connected right here. And I was very happy to see this part right here because this part in fact says TDK. I believe this has a built-in ferrite core to try to eliminate line noise. And this is from the TDK company, which I really love. I love the TDK company. I really focus on buying TDK VHS videotapes. That would be computer floppy disks, all of that neat magnetic recorded media, as well as audio cassettes. I really love the TDK audio cassettes, especially the SA series, as well as the metal Type 4 audio cassettes. The TDK, they came out with some very good tape back in the 80s and the 90s. So we have a power supply port right here, 120 volts. That is feeding this power supply. Now this power supply is rated for a maximum of 100 watts. Now this power supply is feeding quite a few boards here. We have this one. Well, I believe this is a power distribution board. This is the power supply. This is the power distribution board. This would feed all these separate boards right here. Now, according to this manual, this right here is technically, let's see. Okay, this right here. This right here is a firewire encoder right here, which makes sense. As you can tell right here, we have the firewire connection coming into it. Let me kind of go ahead and unplug it. See that right there? That's a firewire connection feeding this right here. So this would be the first step for this machine. This right here, that would be the firewire encoder. Now notice this right here. Let me kind of try to zoom in right here. I've seen the chips on these boards, and it doesn't make any sense. I mean, this machine was technically made by JVC. So it was very interesting when I noticed that we have a Sony branded chip in here, which technically Sony was a competing company to JVC. I do suspect that the reason you had to pay $6,000 when you purchased this machine was because you had to pay royalties to quite a few competing companies here. These competing companies, they had to work together in order to come up with this machine, which was able to create password protected videos, which is it's not well known. I mean, a lot of people, they say it's not possible. How can you password protect a VHS tape? Well, it is possible, and it was used quite a bit. So we have a Sony branded machine, chip right here. We also have a Hitachi branded chip here. Like I told you, they were in fact Hitachi branded digital VHS machines. So we have quite a few competing chips here. We have Sony, we have Hitachi as well. Now I do plan to turn on this machine today. Not right now, because I really want to focus on the inside parts. Okay, now this right here. This one here has an Altera branded chip. And actually, I have made videos for the HDTV encoder, and it has quite a few Altera branded chips. So we do have another Altera branded chip on this machine right here. Now, technically on this machine right here, this is considered the ASI decoder, which makes sense. As you can see right here, we have the ASI connection. Let me kind of show you this right here. This right here says DVB ASI input, and that is fed via a BNC connection, which I really don't use. I pretty much use adapters like these right here. Notice this right here. This right here has an adapter that converts from the BNC type connection to the RCA type, which is more common, easier to find. When I use this machine, I actually place these adapters. I buy quite a few. You can find 5 packs of these on eBay and Amazon as well, and they work great. They pretty much convert from that odd BNC connection to the more common, that would be the RCA type. All right. So actually, there's not much going on in here. I mean, when I bought this machine, I was expecting to find a whole lot more going on in here, but there's not that much. I mean, considering that this machine costs $6,000, there's not much going on in here anyways. So let me go ahead and turn on this machine. I want to let you have the privilege of being able to see this machine being turned on. So let me go ahead and feed this via 120 volts back here, like so. Now this is the fuse. This would protect the machine, and if for any reason there was a short or something went bad, if this power surge coming in here, this fuse would blow out. Very nice to have, especially since the machine was so expensive. It was a total of, like I said, $6,000. Now notice this right here. This kind of tells you the steps that you have to make when you plan to use this bottom machine. It's not enough to just go ahead and turn this on and you're ready to go. There is a lag here. It says, attention, for Pro HD system, how to turn the power on. Press upper left side. That would be the power on the VCR itself. So you have to turn on the VCR first before you turn on this bottom machine. So after you have your VCR on, you go ahead and you change your channel settings to the I setting. That would activate the VCR's internal firewire connection. After you select the I channel, which that is pretty much iLink. Like I told you, JVC, for some reason, they don't call it firewire, they call it iLink. You have to wait 5 seconds. There's kind of like a delay. After 5 seconds, you go ahead and you turn on this machine. Let me go ahead and do that. When this has its own switch right there. It turns green. So right away we can see that the power supply right here has its own green colored LED right there. Now this bottom machine does not have any fans because it only consumes up to 100 watts, which is it's not much. Okay, now notice this right here. This is on. Now we do have quite a few LEDs here. These would be blinking when you're feeding this machine video and when it's outputting video, which is it's not doing right now because it's missing the top VCR. It's missing the input video signal. Now when I input video into this signal, I use my HDTV encoder, which I do plan to show you in my next video, not in this one, because this video would be insanely long. All right. So that pretty much concludes this video. I really wanted to show you the insides of this ASI machine down here, especially since, like I told you, there are no images, let alone videos on this setup right here. Now on my next video, I will be recording I really thought long and hard what to record for my upcoming video. I mean, regarding those vintage videotapes formats right there, that would be the Quasar VX format, as well as the Sanyo VCore 2 format up there. When I made videos for those machines, I went ahead and I made recordings of the Big Buck Bunny open project because they have a Creative Commons license for that video where you can share that, for example, on YouTube videos. But for this format, I mean, I wanted to record something different. And I will show you what I'm going to record on my next video. It's something very special for me. And thank you so much.